Hi everyone, I'm Belinda. Welcome back to my studio. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the future videos that I have for you. Today in the studio I am going to work on a mapboard collograph. This is a straightforward printmaking process using a piece of scrap mapboard and a single color of ink. This will be inked, wiped, and then pressed against a piece of paper with a spoon. And when the print on the paper comes off and the ink is dry, that single color will then get media added to it. And this is where it gets really fun. If you print a small edition, say 4 or 5 of them, each one of them can be colored in a different way. You can use watercolor, acrylic, pastel, colored pencil, etc. Be sure to watch to the end of the video so I can show you a couple examples of different color treatments that you can do to the print. Let's have a look so that you can make something with me. This will be a small edition of about 7, so I'm going to use leftover ink from previous projects that I keep in small containers. I'll put a link to where I got these containers in the Show More section beneath the video window. I'm using a plastic spatula to mix the ink and then a piece of scrap mapboard to apply it to the plate. A couple of you asked about my work surface, and this is an old wood table with a sheet of paper and then a sheet of plexiglass on top of the paper. I've covered the plate with ink, removed any excess, and now I'm going to wipe the plate with tarlatan. Tarlatan is starched cheesecloth, and you use it over and over again so it gets pretty ink saturated. This piece isn't too bad. I'm just rolling it into itself and then flattening the rounder end before I begin to wipe the plate. Use a piece of non-skid underneath the plate to hold it steady, and your hand, and then use small circular motions, not pressing too hard, about a medium pressure, to remove ink from the top surface and leave ink in the recessed areas of the plate. Once my image becomes visible on the plate, I'm going to switch to old phone book pages or newsprint. The reason for this is that I want to keep the ink in the recessed areas while polishing the ink away from the raised areas. The phone book pages or newsprint that you use should be rolled into a ball the same general shape as the tarlatan, sort of like a jellyfish, round side down. Flatten the curve of the round side again, the same way you did with the tarlatan, and begin polishing gently. It's not always necessary, but in this one I'm going to now switch to a piece of flannel so that I can add some highlights, some bright whites, by removing all of the ink from some areas. For this part you can use old t-shirts, rags, paper towels, whatever works. Clearing the ink on the plate here will help me convey the light coming through the window for this particular piece. Now I'm going to remove the dirty non-skid and set that aside and put a clean piece of non-skid down so that I can transfer the ink on the plate to a clean, soaked and blotted piece of paper. This is BFK Rives lightweight printmaking paper. I'm going to protect the back of the BFK Rives with a piece of newsprint so that it doesn't get marred by the spoon. Hold everything steady with one hand while you use a spoon in firm circular motion to transfer the image. You can remove the newsprint after a while because the printmaking paper will have dried a bit, and then pull your first print. Keep in mind that the first and second prints are often throwaways because you don't have enough ink transfer. The plate has to build up for a little while. By the third print, I was getting pretty good coverage, and I used a variety of leftover ink so that they printed in a bunch of different colors, and they are ready for me to add other media. Here are the prints in reverse sequence in a variety of ink colors. I'm going to pull the first print, the one that didn't have as much ink transfer, in this video to show you that adding other media can often repair a print that was less than satisfactory. I'm adding some watercolor washes here to give an undercolor, and they'll lighten considerably as they dry. But if you do this, you can also use gouache and apply it heavier, or acrylic, and you'll get a fantastic effect. This sheet of Rives paper is probably over 20 years old. I bought it at an estate sale. And you can see here that the pigments in the watercolor are soaking into the paper so much that they are practically disappearing. Rest assured that watercolor on BFK Rives normally does not soak in quite this much, but since I'm using colored pencil on this one, it's quite all right. The colors look deeper and more saturated here because the paper is wet by the water in the watercolors, but once it's dry, it's just a soft tint of color. And now I'll start adding colored pencil. These are Prismacolor colored pencils, but any brand will do, whatever you like. You can also use oil pastels, chalk pastels, crayons, watercolor pencils that you can go in and re-wet, like I was mentioning earlier, gouache or acrylic, whatever you would like to do to add color. I also finished one of these in charcoal to do a monochrome black and white version, and I'll post that at the end of the video. It's a good idea to wait until your collographs are completely dry before you start to add other media. Since I used Akua Ink on these prints and I live near the desert above Los Angeles, my prints are usually dry by the next day. I should mention here that one of the many things that I love about Akua inks is that the other media that I'm adding here stick to the ink beautifully. It's almost like chalk on a chalkboard when you add colored pencil to the ink. I also like that the ink stays wet for as long as it's out on the table, sometimes days at a time, and it doesn't dry until it hits an absorptive surface like paper. And then it cleans up with soap and water, so that's particularly nice. I'm almost finished adding color to this print, and since this is an edition, you'll have the option of doing whatever you'd like to each of the prints that you make. You can be as illustrative or as loose and impressionistic or as abstract as you would like on every single one of them. The title of this collograph is Sunday Morning. So there was a mat board collograph printed without a press and then hand colored in a variety of methods afterwards. You don't have to look too hard for inspiration on these things. This was based on a room in my house. You can do the same thing. If you have a window above your kitchen sink, a kitchen sink is always a fun little geometric study of curved and straight lines. A chair next to a bookshelf, the kitchen table with chairs next to it. Things like that make for great prints like this. That's it for today. I've got more videos in the works, so please don't forget to subscribe so that I have some feedback on how this was received. I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you have friends that like art, share the video with them. And if you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. All of the supplies that were used in this video are in the Show More section with links to the supplies. So if you need to stock up on your art supplies before you get started on this project, I hope that's helpful. See you in the next video. Thanks again for visiting me in the studio today, and take care. Bye-bye.